Evgeny Pobozhiy is a Russian jazz guitarist, composer, educator, and first finalist and winner of 2019 Herbie Hancock Institute of Jazz International Guitar Competition. If you could tell me a little bit about yourself, where were you born? And from what I could read, you were born in Siberia.
Yeah, right. I was born in a small town. It's called Seversk. It's in Tomsk region. It's the Siberian part of Russia. So yes, it is Siberia.
What was the music scene like in Siberia around you? When you were born, something that is relevant to you. What was the music scene like? What was the radio stations playing? What was your family playing? What did you enjoy in life?
Radio stations and TV and television, everything. It was mostly about pop music. Mostly Russian pop music. Not that good, but my father, he is a big music fan, and he had some collection of vinyls and tape recordings of some old rock bands like Beatles, Rolling Stones, Deep Purple, Creedence, Rainbow, etc. A lot of music. And I began listening to this music from his collection maybe at the age of 4 or 5 years old. So my first musical inspiration was old rock music, especially British rock, like Deep Purple, my favorite band when I was a kid.
Have you seen them playing live?
Yeah. I was maybe 14 years old. Deep Purple, they did a tour in Russia. And one of the gigs was in the city in Novosibirsk. It's quite close to my hometown. And me and my friend, we took a train just to visit this gig. It was really fun.
Okay, that's amazing. I'm glad you got to see them playing live. I saw them once as well when they were playing in Czech Republic, and Steve Morse was pretty amazing. The whole band was really tight. I like that, you know.
Of course. Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, Steve Morse, great guy. But my first guitar inspiration was Richie Blackmore. His first and main guitar player, and maybe his playing pushed me to take the guitar and start studying music.
All right. Did you get into Deep Purple probably before you started playing classical music?
Yeah, sure. As I already said, I really like their music, and it inspired me to start studying, to try something on the guitar, and I decided to go to the music school in my hometown. And I studied both classical guitar and electric guitar in this music school, and of course some music theory basics there. And I studied 5 or 6, I think 6 years. And after I graduated from this music school, I was around 16 years. I switched to jazz music because somehow I found some jazz recordings. If I'm not mistaken, it was some Pat Metheny music, John Scofield, and some Charlie Parker recordings, I think. And this music really impressed me. I felt that I found something really new, really interesting and deep for me in music. And it was like the whole new music world. And since that moment, I switched to studying jazz. I wanted to discover how to play it, how to speak this language, you know. And I did it by myself. I mean, I tried to find any materials, any books, instructional materials in internet or in library in my hometown. And of course, any recordings I could find, I listened, I tried to analyze, you know, figure out some things and ideas.
The moment you decided to go on the road with jazz music and you started studying that, you mentioned that you had some instructional material, something that was also your own initiative that you decided to, you know, figure stuff on your own. Did you alongside find any mentors that were helping you, let's say, you know, the local musicians on the Russian jazz scene that could help you with jazz and that you were looking up to?
You know, in my hometown, there were no professional jazz guitar players. there were some elder guitar players, generally rock musicians and blues, and we interacted somehow. Maybe they shared some experience of their own. But mainly I grew up as a jazz musician, learning by myself. As I said, I listened to a lot of recordings and read a lot of books. In fact, a lot of books like, Patterns for Jazz by Jerry Cocker, the famous jazz vocabulary. And some others like Joe Pass Guitar Style was a quite famous book in Russia because they published it in Russian, they translated it.
Okay.
And it was possible to buy it in store. And also other books like Inside Improvisation, this is a Jerry Pobozhiy series of books, it was really great and useful. And others, a lot of other stuff. Everything I could find, I read and tried to analyze, and take something for me.
Well, you mentioned some of the musicians and the books that they published, like Jerry Bergonzi. He's teaching at Berkeley. Did you interact with Berkeley at some point in your life, or you were more focused on California and CNN, UCLA, and the Thelonious Monk competition or Herbie Hancock's competition?
No, when I was a kid, Berkeley College and UCLA and any American college was like like another planet. It's some place where amazing, great jazz musicians live and develop their music. But when you live in Siberia, it feels like you're far from that place, But when I was 18 years old, I had a chance to study at Berkeley at the 5-week summer performance program. Me and two of my friends, one rich guy from Siberia, he gave us money and he told us, I want to help you to develop your musical career somehow. So it would be great if you could take some lessons in the United States. So we applied for this program, 5-week summer program at Berkeley, and it was a really great experience for us and for me personally because it was the first time I visited the United States and studied with Berkeley teachers. And also I listened and talked to young guys from all over the world, musicians, and it was a chance to listen to them, to compare my level of playing, level of knowledge with these guys. And I still remember this trip, and I think it's one of the most remarkable things in my growing as a musician. But I could not stay there for the college program because it still was too expensive for my family, so I had to come back to Russia and continue my self-education. And some 2 years I entered the conservatory in Russia. It was still is in the city of Rostov-on-Don. The city is in the south part of Russia. Better climate, bigger jazz society, jazz scene at some point, and some great musicians. So it was a good idea for me to move there, and I studied for 2 years at the conservatory and graduated in 2012. Yeah, right. And after that, I only worked professionally as a musician, both as a teacher. As a musician, I played at this time, 2012 to 2015, both pop music, jazz music, sometimes rock music, everything which could be paid, because I had to earn money. And after that, in 2015, I moved to Moscow. I was invited to join the Moscow Jazz Orchestra. It's a main jazz ensemble in Russia. And I'm still working there, playing in this orchestra and in a quintet of its leader, Igor Butman, and also, of course, my quintet, my occasional music, some festivals, gigs, etc.
Well, In your course, if you were to describe, the instruments that the students were studying, would you say that the guitar was the main instrument people were most likely interested in, or was it the brass tradition that was attracting the attention of young musicians in Russia to study jazz, or was it the rhythm section? What instrument would you say is the most popular in that course where you were in at the moment?
It depends on style, because in general, guitar is much more popular than any reeds or trumpet. Guitar and drums.
Guitar and drums.
Because rock music and pop music, these instruments are main things there. And also, there are some schools in Russia, like in Rostov-on-Don, they have children's music school, which is mostly jazz school. So kids like 6 years old, they start studying there, and they start with jazz music, then they grow up, and a lot of them are studying or already graduated from some European or American colleges, grade school, and so I don't know, a lot of different ways to jazz music.
I like your thoughts. They're very articulate, and you go from one step to another step. So you very nicely described the way how you picked up your instrument, how you build up towards the classical, build up towards the jazz, and it kept on going. If you were to pinpoint, if you were to pinpoint one thing that gave you that energy to keep on studying and keep on getting better, because there's a lot of students that are going through very similar process you're going, but at some point they stop, or it could be because they say it's too hard, or they are maybe not in a suitable, let's say program. But there could be many circumstances, and a lot of times also excuses coming from not being experienced enough, being young to do that music. Do you know what you specifically, when you felt a little bit down, what gave you the energy and engine to keep on doing and studying?
I never felt really down or disappointed or sad about my studying process. I just loved the music every time and still love, and I enjoyed the process of studying, playing my instrument, trying new things. And that usually was the thing which moved me and pushed me to move forward. I really love music, I know why. When I was a kid, I usually wanted to grow as a musician, to learn more, and in terms of playing, in terms of theory, knowledge, everything in music. I just wanted, because it was really was interesting for me to grow, to develop, and to build up my musicality career. But first of all, musical things.
We were saying that the Herbie Hancock Institute of Jazz is the most important or the most popularized competitions and prestigious competition for young jazz guitar players. How did you get application?
Not only guitar players. In fact, they first of all, this competition has 30 years history. It changed name last year. All previous years they called it Thelonious Monk competition and also Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz. But 2019 they decided to change the name, Herbie Hancock instead of Thelonious Monk, but this is the same competition and the same level, if I can say this way. So a lot of modern jazz giants like Joey DeFrancesco, like Chris Potter, like a lot of really amazing musicians, they won or took second or third prize in this competition previous years. And the guitar competition, the last one was in 2005 or 2000, if I'm not mistaken. Because the idea is they choose another instrument each year. For example, last year was guitar, next time it will be, let's say, saxophone, last year, and next will be drums, etc.
Yeah.
And I first heard about this competition through the internet in 2007, maybe. I was a kid, this time, and I was interested in everything about jazz I could find. And I saw a video of this lap guitar competition, some short videos of each participant, and I was really impressed about this panel of judges, which include the most significant musicians, and the level of playing and musicianship of participants. And I thought maybe one day I could take part too. And once I got an email, a newsletter from Herbie Hancock Institute with the information about the guitar competition this year, I decided to try to take part. And I recorded a demo recording with my fellow musicians in Moscow, and just sent it. After that, I got an email that they chose me for the semifinals, and I was really, really excited about it because I was just the third musician from Russia who took part in this competition through the whole its history. And next step was just to come to Washington, D.C. day before the semifinals to rehearse with the written section, and next day we did semifinals, and last day was the finals. So that's my history in short about this competition.
And how did you choose the repertoire? Was it your take? And I'm sure they also had one condition or two how to choose the repertoire. So what was the process?
They did not give any strict recommendations about the repertoire. It was generally no restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
Any participant could play anything he wanted. The only thing was to time limit. 15 minutes is the maximum for semifinals. So I chose 3 compositions. First one was Invoked Bat by Thelonious Monk. Second one was 500 Miles High by Chick Corea, and the third one, Actual Proof by Herbie Hancock. I wanted to play these songs because generally I wanted to make my set stylistically diverse. So first song was a swing tune, second one was Latin, and the third one was funk fusion.
That's amazing. That's a very good insight.
To show different sides of my style, and also I could use different sound. In terms of style, of course, if I play the funk fusion song, Actual Proof, I could switch to some overdrive and tone and things like this. So the main idea for me was to be diverse in terms of style and sound, and to show my own style, my own vision of contemporary jazz guitar. That's it.
Did you have to rehearse with the band? Did you have like 60 minutes to rehearse, or was it pretty much, you played off the lead sheet once and then you go on the stage?
We had a rehearsal one day before the semifinals, and it was 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Each participant had just half an hour to rehearse 3 songs, and it's not enough, of course. That's why organizers asked us to prepare not hard compositions for reading, because 12 persons, if anyone would bring hard charts for written section, probably they could have some problems with just reading and memorizing music.
What did you learn from this experience? Because it's an amazing experience. It had incredible amount of demands and incredible amount of pressure on the contestants. All the fabulous musicians. There's the panel of judges made out of incredible musicians and actually jazz icon. And as you mentioned, historically, Herbie Hancock's competition comes from the tradition of Thelonious Monk competition. It just changed its name.
Right.
So if you were to retrospectively look at it, what did you learn from that particular situation, from that competition experience? What did you learn about your playing? What did you learn about yourself?
That's a good question. As you said, the panel of judges included some of the most important guitar players on modern scene in the modern music. And of course, these musicians are my biggest inspirations, like John Scofield, Pat Metheny, Lionel Loeke, Stanley Jordan, etc., etc. So what I did on this competition, I decided to make an emphasis on my individuality and my diversity, and as I already said, my vision of modern style, as I could say. And I think it was the right decision, because your own voice and your sound, your way of musical thinking is, I think, is the key to success somehow, at least, because it's really important to be yourself and not to copy someone. And I think this competition was a good moment for me to check this idea, you know.
What do you like about the general music scene at the moment?
I think what I really like about the jazz scene today is its versatility, maybe, because jazz grows in different ways, and it includes and incorporates different styles and genres, like from hip hop to Oriental music, music of different traditions, Eastern, Western, etc. And besides, jazz develops in its traditional form too, so it grows in different ways. It becomes wider and deeper and more versatile, maybe. So that's what I like about jazz, because you have much more ways to express yourself in terms of style, vibe, you know, groove, and elements of different cultures. Everything works well in jazz because it blends it all together, and something new is being created all the time.
Is there something you would say the contemporary music scene needs to improve, or there's a potential and a space to improve?
I think it is improving day by day, but of course there are some problems. A lot of people really don't like jazz because they think it's music for musicians. It's too hard to understand, you know. And it is a problem, lack of audience and, you know, lack of interest to this type of music. But I think it's not necessary to be a jazz musician to understand it or to feel its energy or vibe. And I think jazz will become more popular soon, and I hope so.
Now, when it will be improving, as you mentioned, day by day, what plans do you have for your near future?
The main plan for me for the near future is to finish my album, because it will be the first solo album of mine with my original music, all original compositions, and I'm really looking forward to it. And as we discussed already, when this pandemic situation will resolve, I'm really looking forward to finish the work, record the music, and everything. And also, as I already said, I'm working on some internet lessons, some educational materials. That's what my plans are at the moment.
I noticed that you get a variety of instruments. It looks like you got 10 million guitars in one of the videos. Do you have a lot of guitars, and what guitars do you use at the moment?
At the moment, I have, let me think, 3 electric guitars.
Okay.
It's two Kissel guitars.
Mm-hmm.
The one which I used on the competition on that video is Kissel semi-hollow,
Mm-hmm.
H575, and the second one is headless model, Kissel Zeus. And the third guitar, I use it for big band, Moscow Jazz Orchestra. It's a big Ibanez LGB 300,
Mm-hmm.
new George Benson model, huge body, you know, really big guitar. And I also used the John Scofield model for maybe 10 years, but I changed it.
Okay.
I felt maybe a couple of years ago I just told it and decided to switch to another instrument just to change something, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what amplifiers do you use?
Usually I use Fender Twins or Deluxe. Yeah.
Okay. And,
Generally, yeah.
and do you use those for all your pretty much instruments, even for the hollow body guitars?
Yeah. First of all, for the hollow body guitar, I use Twins.
Yeah.
Sounds best. But if I use guitar guitar effect processor, it's not necessary to use amplifier because I use Fractal Audio AX8, and it can be plugged into a PA directly. So if I use this setup, it's not necessary to use an amplifier.
Well, in your style of playing, you are combining skipping strings, but you're combining also legato, pull-offs, and very accurate, rhythmically accurate and clean picking. So I wonder, what strings do you use?
I usually use D'Addario strings. How can I say in English? 11.
11.
On some on some guitars I use 10s, on some 11.
How do you find D11s for bending?
Quite hard.
Quite hard.
Yeah, of course.
And
so, but yeah, I don't really big user of bend. I mean, in my style of playing, I usually use legato, glissando, and stuff like this. Not much bending, you know.
Yeah. And what plectrum do you use at the moment?
I use the fat one, 3 millimeters.
Okay.
I don't know how it's called. It's called Clayton.
Okay. What advice would you give to first-year students entering the university?
You know, I would advise one thing. I think one of the most important things is being able. Sorry, no, it's a mistake. I would say that the only bad thing in studying in the beginning is laziness. The main enemy of any student who just starts, because anyone, I mean, any talented person can reach anything, any heights. But if he would work hard day by day, I think that's the most important thing. Not only in the beginning, but especially in the beginning of learning process.
So the discipline and being dedicated.
The discipline, yes, being dedicated to the music is extremely important. Maybe it's the most important thing.
And when you leave the college, people would be asking, so now I finished 4 years or whatever amount of years it takes at particular college, and they go, so now I'm looking for gigs. Now it's about to, start playing music and, build up your career. And we are talking anything that starts, from playing local gigs to small gigs and big gigs to online presence. What advice would you give these students when they're asking all these questions?
I would advise these guys to be able to play in different styles, and because that's really important in terms of having gigs, and projects, being a sideman or a leader of anything. If you are able to play in different styles of music, different styles of playing your instrument, you have more, perspectives maybe. And also you should be open to new things, new concepts, new ideas. And also personal qualities are really important. I mean, punctuality, sociability, and responsibility, everything. All the things make a great, talented musician, successful person, and demanded professional.
Would you be interested in studying at the new program at the university, let's say in the States, or even teaching in the States one day?
Yeah, of course, would be great. It was one of my biggest dreams, studying in the United States, living and building career in the United States. Of course, because the main jazz progress and development and creating of new directions in this music. It happened in the United States, in New York, and partly in Los Angeles. Of course, I hope one day I will be able to continue my career there.